Hi there, I'm Felicia Love, and I have a distinguished guest with me. I'm so honored that Judge Phinia Aten is here. Now let me tell you a little bit about her. She is Rockdale County's Chief Magistrate Court Judge. She's the first female and first African American to hold this position, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now she was elected in 2012. She's been serving since 2013, and I am honored to have the distinguished Judge Phinia Aten.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be talking about this very serious, important issue today.
And you know what? Because you not only have the position here in the county, you also have a long history of being able to see the public and how it's responding to domestic violence with some of your cases, and then of course, with the public here in court. So I am very honored to be able to have an opportunity to ask you some key questions that I hear people asking all the time, but we're not really getting those answers. So thanks so much. Let me ask you this. Let's paint the picture of domestic violence in the media right now, how it's being portrayed. In your eyes, what do you see? Do you think that it's being portrayed in a way that is helpful and meaningful to those who are suffering from domestic violence?
On some occasions, I do see that the media is making strides in covering domestic violence, portraying it for the serious global event and tragedy that it is. However, I still see too many stereotypes and too many minimalizations of domestic violence, as if it is a display of that power and control over another, is a display of genuine affection, when it has nothing to do with love. Domestic violence does. It has nothing to do with love.
I am so glad that you pointed that out, because what I wanted to talk about was not only do we see publicized, the NFL players and the superstars and the, even pastors. So not only do we see the event, but it's like it's an event and then it goes away. So nobody really knows what's going on after the event happens, what happens to the families, how they're coping. None of that is being talked about. And so that's something that I'm glad you touched upon, because it has nothing to do with love.
No.
Right. So expand on that. What do you see from your experience?
Well, we know statistically that boys who witness domestic violence in a home are 3 times more likely to become abusers themselves. Mm-hmm. So you're right, it is not an event, it is a cycle of abuse that can become never ending. For some families, it gets passed down generation to generation as normal behavior. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a cycle. And we also see that young women and men that are victims of domestic violence, they tend, even if they get away from that initial batterer, mm-hmm. they tend to attract and continue to be in relationships with other abusive mm-hmm. Mates. And sometimes abuse can even escalate, is what we see. Most women in the United States have experienced some type of domestic violence, usually by age 16. So mm-hmm. teen violence even is a very huge. Important topic. So I see that. I remember when I was in high school, there was a upperclassman who was dating a very handsome young man. He was also an athlete, and she was very beautiful and talented as well. And I remember her coming to school with a black eye. Wow. And at that time, the faculty, everybody was aware that it was a domestic situation, but nobody stepped in. Not the other students, not the faculty, and that left an impression with me as to just how powerful domestic violence is and how unfettered and unchecked it goes in our country. And although that was many years ago, I see the same thing happen in workplaces today. Domestic violence takes such a toll on the economy, too, from those lost days of work, mm-hmm. absenteeism, health care costs. Yes. So it really is a global epidemic. And that's a little redundant, but I just want to express to your viewers how significant and broad domestic violence is.
This is Ava behind me. I have 2 children, Xavier and Arabella. She's 7 months. I've been thinking long and hard and contemplating whether to post this video. And I was, and I wasn't, and I was, and I wasn't. I finally decided, after a lot of thinking, that, yeah, I need to do this for me and my children. I need to raise awareness to other women out there. I'm 26, I'm from Dublin, I have 2 children. I've been in a relationship for 3.5 years with a guy who I thought was the love of my life. He was the love of my life. Loved him with all my heart. We've had ups and downs. I'll cherish the ups. I won't miss the downs. Unfortunately, last year, I found out he cheated on me with one of his clients. I found out in June, but he denied it. She contacted me in November and told me she was pregnant. So, with the stress, I went into labour early.
And I see in the courtroom, I see sometimes the batterer try to take that control dynamic that they have in their inner circle, in their bedroom, and bring it to the courtroom.
Wow.
And I have to say, honey, I'm not the one, okay?
How about that?
And you will get in domestic violence classes, intervention classes. You have no control here. You're going to be treated fairly, but you will be held accountable. So that's what I see. Sometimes it doesn't even stop with the actual romantic partner. Mm-hmm. It can spill over in how the batterer interacts with other women. I've seen it happen with law enforcement, female law enforcement agents who've gone out on a domestic call, and then they encounter the batterer, and they're just trying to do an investigation, and sometimes it leads to a willful obstruction, a felony obstruction, even with the officers, where, wow, you know, then they get into a physical altercation. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things I've seen.
So it's behavior across the board.
Yes.
It is behavior. So how does one check themselves?
A lot of times the batterers, they'll tell you that they were the victims of abuse, or they saw their mothers being abused mm-hmm. before. Okay. So some of them have a conscious awareness that they're in a cycle of abuse, but they a lot of times don't have the tools, mm-hmm. The behavioral anger management tools in understanding how to build positive relationships. They don't have those tools. Right. They think it's either her way or my way. Or they don't understand the art of compromise. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I understand that let's walk the viewers through what happens when there's a domestic violence call to the point through your procedure, what happens typically in court. So someone gets a call.
And it can be from a neighbor. Mm-hmm. It can be from a child in the household. It can be from the victim herself. Sometimes even the batterer will call to try to do this race to 911 situation so that they can appear as the victim.
How about that?
A false victim, or so that the law enforcement comes to them first and hears their side of the story first. Wow. So it can come a lot of different ways.
Very manipulative, huh?
Well, again, we're talking about domestic violence having nothing to do with love and everything to do with power. Mm-hmm. So again, it's the batterer trying to show dominance and control in every single way they can over their victim.